Monica, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much, Sean. I really appreciate it.
A lot to break down with you because you've been everywhere. You were in Arizona. You were in the new media seat yesterday. Let's start with Arizona. Just bring us inside the room. I watched it. I couldn't believe I've never been more captivated by anything for that long in my life. What was the feeling inside the room?
Oh, it was absolutely astonishing to see the amount of people packed inside that stadium. It was unlike anything I had ever seen before. And you not only had nearly 100,000 people in that stadium, but you also had the overflow stadium, Desert Diamond, that was also pretty much at max capacity. You've had other viewing parties. You've had tens of millions of people tuning in remotely from home. That just goes to show the magnitude and the effect that Charlie had on the American people. And also, Sean, I want to share with you, it was an honor to ride on Air Force One to the memorial service. President Trump wanted Turning Point USA Frontlines there on the flight with him. So that was an even more special opportunity. And it just felt like this wouldn't have happened. I wouldn't have had these opportunities, not only on Air Force One, or just opportunities in general, thanks to Turning Point USA and thanks to Charlie. So it was a very emotional day. It's been a very emotional 13 days. And, the only way that we can keep pushing forward is to literally keep working twice as hard and just keep the momentum going.
Yeah. Yesterday, you went from all of that into the new media seat. What would you feel like anybody like that? We keep using the word revival. And I watched a video last night of a woman in Massachusetts, and she was like, look at this line. And again, it's a video. And I was like, okay. And she's like, this is church. She's like, I've never in my life seen a line of people going to church where I live. And she's like, something's happening. I get the sense that when that word was used over and over again at a service, revival, that it wasn't just a word to be thrown out there over and over again, that there is truly a new movement at hand.
It's unlike anything that I've ever seen before in our country. I mean, people are going to church in droves now. People are opening Bibles. They're buying Bibles. They want to feel more connected now more than ever, which is truly something special. And it's even more special to be part of an organization that's been encouraging this. And now it gives me a lot of faith. It gives me a lot of hope to see more and more people hopping on board with our message. And it doesn't have to be anything this grandiose. It could just be as simple as saying a prayer every single day. And to see people in droves really fulfilling the message that Charlie has been proclaiming over the last, 10, 15 years now at this point. It's really a movement that I really don't see going away. And this is how you fight evil, is that you keep doing good. And what's interesting is that people have been so, they don't want to change. They don't want to change their minds. They don't want to change their hearts. But Charlie allowed people to seek change. It is okay to maybe change your mind about something that maybe you were on the fence about. It's okay to change your heart. It's okay to maybe say, okay, maybe, being pro-choice isn't a good thing for me. Maybe, Charlie has a point here. It's okay to put your pride aside and really see in your heart that, you can change your mind. It's okay to do that. And Charlie allowed for that dialogue and conversation to happen. And we're seeing that right now with this revival, like you're describing.
You guys, I'm telling you, I like to buy things that are going to last. Clothes, shoes, things like that. I switched out my sheets because sleep is so valuable. You guys have heard me talk about this. And I now have a pair of Boll and Branch sheets. Oh my gosh. It's like if you've ever stayed in a really nice hotel, now you've got that in your bed. It is unbelievable. They feel amazing. And they make you sleep better so well that after the first night, my wife said, can we use your code to buy a second pair? So I literally went out my own money and bought a second pair of the Boll and Branch sheets. So I never had to worry about whether or not we were putting them in the wash, and we could always have a pair ready to go. It is unbelievable. They're made with the finest 100% organic cotton in a soft, breathable, and I get hot. I'm just maybe TMI here, but I do get hot. It is unbelievable. And they have a 30-night worry-free guarantee. If you don't like them, which I don't know why you wouldn't, you can literally, and it is just the cotton, the breathability. I love these things. It is literally like the nicest resort you've ever stayed at. This is what you want. You can make a difference. Go to bollandbranch.com/Spicer. You have to use that URL. So it's Boll, BOLLAND, bowlandbranch.com/spicer. You get 15% and free shipping. bowlandbranch.com/spicer. So you have to use it exactly like that to unlock 15% off and free shipping. Check it out. I'm telling you, you're going to love these things. You'll probably be just like me and get a second pair. What's next for Turning Point? Last night, I mentioned earlier, big first step. Michael Knowles doing this big event. Have you guys gotten any guidance as to what this means, or is it still coming together?
It's still kind of coming together, but what we saw last night with Michael Knowles is definitely what we can expect moving forward. We've got Megyn Kelly on deck as well, Virginia Governor Glenn Youngkin. He's also going to be joining her, and we have a great stacked lineup in the coming month and a half. So, I mean, we're still going to keep pushing forward. We're still going to keep moving. We're still going to keep, having these dialogues, having these discussions, having these debates. It's important, and Charlie proved its importance. So the only thing we can keep doing is to just keep doing this, because when we stop, this is exactly what happens. It's violence, and it's okay to have these discussions. We should be. What kind of world would we be living in if we agreed with everybody? So I'm really glad that we are continuing this fight 10 times harder, because this is exactly what Charlie would have wanted.
There's this sense that people felt like, who's going to be the next Charlie Kirk? And the way that I have sort of looked at it, and I want your take on this, is I don't think it's going to be Charlie Kirk. Yes, Erica Kirk may be the new CEO, but Monica Paige may go do these 5 things, and so may do these 10. And I saw a young man who's 12 years old saying, I'm going to start a chapter in my community. And I think there's like 10,000 Charlie Kirks, and each one may, if you think of it as a scale of 1 to 10, and Charlie was a 10, 1 might be a 3, 1 might be a 7, 2 might be 9s. But I think it's spawning a movement of a bunch of people doing a bunch of different things, not one guy leading an entire effort. Fair?
Absolutely fair, because there's nobody that can ever replace Charlie. Like you said, I mean, you can have Erica, who's our new CEO, and she's fantastic, and she is literally the pillar of strength. We saw that on display at the memorial, and we saw her in her address to the nation less than 48 hours after her husband's tragic death. I mean, there's something to be said about that. But I mean, to see a lot of young people want to get involved, seeing more than 62,000 kids on their college and high school campuses put in requests to start chapters, that is so inspiring. That is so motivational. And the feeling in my heart, I mean, I'm just so overwhelmed by the amount of people who want to get involved. I mean, just this past week, we saw, at Colorado State University, Charlie was supposed to have an event there on campus, but it turned into a vigil of 10,000 people coming out to show their support. We can expect to keep seeing these kinds of things. I mean, you see outside of Turning Point USA headquarters, people are showing their unwavering support and love and appreciation for everything that we do. And that just goes to show that we can't stop. And kids all across the country need to keep pushing that message. Clearly, they're feeling something. So, I mean, we are so overwhelmed and so grateful to see such a movement like this just continue on.
It's in contrast, though, to the left. Like, one of the things you mentioned, these vigils, these tributes, they're peaceful, they're prayerful, and yet the left, when they have a problem, they loot, they commit vandalism, violence, and yet we're still told that both sides are, have issues. And I keep fighting this narrative. It's not the same on both sides, is it?
No, it's absolutely not. And this just proved it just this past week. I don't see anybody on the left doing what Charlie did. I don't see anybody on the left looking to do what Charlie did. And to see these people on the left that are still doing this whataboutism, let's just put the whataboutism aside. It just doesn't make any logical sense, because you see how we handle such a great loss in our community and in our lives. Where I spoke to people on the ground here in Washington, D.C. I did an MOS for Frontlines. And these people feel like they lost a child, like they lost somebody truly special to them in their hearts. And what we can keep doing is we have to keep praying for our enemy. We have to keep praying to keep this movement going. And on the left, you see them crying about the First Amendment with this Jimmy Kimmel drama, which that's a whole other beast. I hate even talking about Jimmy Kimmel. But it just goes to show the irony and just the hypocrisy of it all. Charlie touched the hearts and the minds of college students, and that's not an easy thing to do. Yeah. And I'm still waiting for somebody on the left to, try to do something that Charlie did. You just can't, because Charlie showed that he has not only facts and reason on his side, but also has God.
Yeah. you represent Turning Point in the White House press pool. Do you think did any of those guys get it? Did they react? Is that touched anyone there? Do you think?
It's so interesting, Sean, because I had a couple of reporters come up to me and offer their condolences, which was nice. But it just feels really weird to be sitting in like the press pool and just hearing questions that just, I don't know. I think it was in the Oval Office the other day. A reporter for either MSNBC or CNN asked President Trump, why did you put the flag at half staff for just Charlie Kirk? Why couldn't you have done it for maybe for this congresswoman or this senator who got killed in Minnesota? Or and the president's like, well, if only their the representative called me and told me that this had happened, maybe I would have done it. And it's just the left does this whataboutism, and the reporters do it too.
Right.
Tim Walz is who I'm trying to describe. If Tim Walz had just called President Trump and told him about what had happened, then maybe the president would have done it. But this is the kind of attitude that we get in the press pool. These are what the mainstream media reporters are focused on. It's always about, oh, well, you did this, but what about this? And it's just so disingenuous. And I really try my best to stay away from reporters like that and just people there at the White House that are like that, because it's just negativity. And all I want to focus on are people that are truly, I don't know, because Charlie was such a big influence, not only for people on the right, but people on the left as well. And to
Yeah.
have those debates and discussions. And I don't know, it just doesn't sit right with me in my heart to be at that White House when there are reporters out there who couldn't give less of a crap about what had happened.
Yeah. Well, I hate to go there, but I do want to ask you about Kimmel because he's going to come back on the air tonight.
Yeah.
And I just got to say this because this is what I said earlier. This is what outrages me. Erica Kirk showed that she's probably the most forgiving person that I've ever met in my life and probably ever will. Jimmy Kimmel hasn't asked for forgiveness. He lied. He lied. And that's what people have to, it's not that he was telling a bad joke. He lied. And he has been sitting there for 6 or 7 days now and hasn't said a word, hasn't said, I was wrong. I need to apologize. And he has a million outlets. He's got a PR team. He's got X and Twitter and YouTube and whatever. And I feel like all the left is celebrating him coming back about the First Amendment. And yet no one is focusing on the fact that he lied to the American people and tried to actually instigate, people to believe something very badly about our movement.
It's a shame. And what I will say about Jimmy Kimmel is that he's been suffering with this kind of mental illness for decades now. And unfortunately, a soul like his cannot be changed. A mind like his cannot be changed, no matter, how many facts you put in front of him. And to see him not retract his statement within moments of spewing such hatred, it's very telling. And, people make mistakes. I get it. Maybe there's some misspeak, nobody's perfect. Sometimes you got to retract. It happens. It happens to the best of us. But the fact that he didn't retract, he didn't apologize, it's spitting in the face of so many people, even those on the left who maybe said, hey, listen, Charlie wasn't that bad of a guy. Charlie was a more moderate right kind of person. And the fact that you're going to lie about his death and try to convince the American people that what we saw wasn't real, he's part of the problem. You have people on the left like Jimmy Kimmel who are part of the problem. And it's sad because there are so many people that are standing by him. That's what's scary here. Not only the fact that Jimmy Kimmel's spreading lies on national television, but there are people out there that agree with him and continue to perpetuate these lies. So we have a problem on our hands, I think. You still have people that are spreading these hate comments and still protesting our events, of course. Freedom of speech, that's fine. But there comes a point where when you just outright lie and you don't retract, you've got a massive credibility problem. And I think Jimmy Kimmel's future is not going to look so bright anymore, because how do you come back from something like that? You blatantly lie, even though the facts are right in front of you about Charlie Kirk's killer, and you're still going to continue on forward. How do you come back from that, Sean?
We're going to try to find out tonight. Everyone keeps saying, let's see what he says. And I'm like, he's had
Yeah.
an opportunity. He's chosen not to. That's the key thing. Monica, I really appreciate you stopping by and sharing your thoughts with us. Our continued condolences to you and the whole TPUSA team. But I'll tell you, I'm so impressed with how you guys have handled yourselves and the fortitude, faith, courage, determination. It's amazing. And I think history is going to look back unbelievably favorably on how this movement is such an example for people to deal with tragedy in the way that you have. So thank you for being with us, especially as you guys continue to mourn.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sean. And I will say that our productions team, our events staff, the entire Turning Point USA team, really putting together that beautiful memorial in less than a week. It's inspiring and just makes me really proud to be part of this organization. So thank you so much for your condolences and your support. It really means a lot to us, and we're very excited to keep moving forward.
Yeah, you should be very proud of them. Monica, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.